At my engagement party, my fiancé's best man stood up and said, "Before you say yes, watch this." A video played, of him proposing to my sister last week. My mother gasped, "It's not what it looks like." My sister smiled, "He chose me instead." I took the mic and said, "Oh, I know." Then the second video played, and they all went silent. I'm a 32-year-old female, from Chicago. My fiancé, well, now ex-fiancé, was Mark, 34 male. We were together for 5 years. We met through mutual friends and things moved pretty naturally between us. He was charming, smart, had a stable job in finance, and always knew how to make me feel like I was the only woman in the world. Or so I thought. We got engaged last summer at Navy Pier. He rented out a small boat, had music playing, flowers, the whole romantic setup. I was crying when he proposed. I said yes without hesitation. I believed in us. We were planning a wedding for this fall. Now, I need to explain something important. I have a younger sister, Jessica, 28F. Growing up, we were close. We had the normal sister stuff, fights over clothes, little jealousies, but we had each other's backs. At least that's what I thought. Jessica's always been the pretty one. The one who turns heads when she walks into a room. But I never felt like I was in competition with her. When I got engaged, Jessica was excited. She told me she'd be honored to be my maid of honor. I was thrilled. She helped me pick the venue, the dress, she came to every appointment. We were doing this together. My mom was also very involved, she loved Mark. Always said he was a real man and how lucky I was. Our engagement party was planned for March 15th. We had it at this gorgeous venue that overlooked Lake Michigan. Candlelit tables, soft music, everyone dressed up. About 100 people came, family, friends, coworkers. It was supposed to be one of the happiest nights of my life. Things started off great. People were dancing, laughing, drinking. I was in a white lace cocktail dress, feeling beautiful, surrounded by love. Mark was smiling at me all night. He kept telling me how lucky he was, how perfect everything was going to be. Around 9:30 p.m., it was time for speeches. Mark gave a short toast, thanking everyone for coming. I said a few words too. Then David, Mark's best friend and best man, stood up. David has always been close with Mark. They met in college and were inseparable. I never had a reason to distrust David. He's a serious guy, doesn't talk much, but he's loyal, or at least I thought he was loyal to Mark. So David gets up, clears his throat, and says, "Before we continue, I think there's something the bride-to-be should see." People chuckled awkwardly. I looked at Mark. He looked nervous. I mean visibly sweating, jaw clenched. Jessica, who was sitting near the front, looked like she knew what was coming. The lights dimmed. The projector came on. At first, I thought it was a joke. Maybe a slideshow of embarrassing pictures or something. But then I saw it. Mark. On one knee. In a park. Holding a ring. And in front of him. Jessica. My sister. He was proposing to her. And she said yes. I wish I could describe the silence in that room. It was dead quiet. You could hear the wind outside. My aunt dropped her wine glass. My mom gasped loudly and said, "It's not what it looks like." I was frozen. Just frozen. My body wouldn't move. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it was trying to rip out of my chest. Then Jessica stood up. Calm. Confident. She smiled and said, "He chose me instead." Like it was normal. Like this was just a thing that happens. People started whispering. My dad looked like he was about to punch someone. My best friend stood up, walked over to me, and held my hand. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I walked up to the mic and took it from David. I looked at Jessica. Then I looked at Mark. Then I said, "Oh, I know." And David nodded and clicked play on a second video. This one was taken from a hotel hallway camera. It showed Jessica and Mark entering a hotel room together. The date and time were on the screen, just 2 days after he proposed to me at Navy Pier. They kissed before going in. My mom started crying. My dad stood up. Mark looked like he wanted to crawl under the floor. Jessica, she didn't even look surprised. I said into the mic, "I hired a private investigator a month ago. I didn't want to believe what I was starting to suspect. But you both made it too easy." I turned to Mark, "You said you were working late. Every time. You said your phone died. You said your mom was sick. You had an excuse every time." I turned to Jessica, "And you? You were supposed to be helping me. You were supposed to have my back. But you were sleeping with my fiancé. And then you let me plan a whole wedding around your lies." Jessica tried to speak, but I kept going. "I found messages. I saw the photos. I waited to confront you because I wanted everyone to see who you really are." The room was chaos. People yelling, some crying. My uncle started shouting at Mark. My cousin was recording everything on her phone. My mom came up to me, sobbing, and said, "Please, honey, let's talk about this privately." I stepped back and said, "No, Mom. Not privately. You knew. Didn't you?" She looked down. "You knew." And that was when it all truly broke. So yeah. There I was. In the middle of my own engagement party, microphone still in my hand, dress now wrinkled from the tight grip I had on myself just to stop from collapsing. My mom wouldn't look me in the eye. Mark was sitting down now, hunched forward, head in his hands. He hadn't said a single word. Not one. "Jessica?" She stayed standing. Still smiling. That same smug little smile, like she was proud of herself. I remember thinking how fake her face looked in that moment. All that makeup. All that effort to look perfect. And it hit me. She planned this. She wanted me to find out. Not after the wedding. Not later. Right now. In front of everyone. I dropped the mic on the table. I looked around the room. My friends were in shock. A couple of them were glaring at Jessica. One girl, Sophie, was crying. She knew something was off but didn't know how bad it was. Then, just as I was about to walk out, my dad stood up and yelled, "Enough." Everyone went silent. He pointed at Mark. "You lying piece of trash. Get out. Right now." Mark looked up, eyes red. "Mr. T, please, just let me explain." "No," Dad said. "You had 5 years to be a man. 1 night to show up and honor my daughter. And you blew it." Then he turned to Jessica. "You," he said, voice quieter but colder, "you're not welcome in my home anymore." Jessica's face changed fast. Her smile disappeared. Her jaw tightened. "Seriously, Dad? You're going to take her side?" My dad didn't flinch. "She's your sister." Jessica crossed her arms. She never appreciated him. I saw how miserable he was. "You all did." I took a step forward. "Miserable?" "Mark begged me to marry him. He said he couldn't imagine life without me." Jessica raised an eyebrow. "He told me that too." That made everyone gasp again. I felt something break inside me. Then came the twist I never saw coming. David, yes, David, the best man, looked at Jessica and said loud enough for the room to hear, "Tell them what you told me at your apartment 2 nights ago." Jessica's face went white. She shook her head. "No. David, don't." But it was too late. David stepped forward. "You told me you were pregnant. And that you weren't sure if it was Mark's or someone else's." Another silence. Even the DJ, who had been quietly packing up, stopped moving. I turned to Jessica. Is that true? She blinked. It's none of your business. Oh, I said, my voice flat. It definitely is now. Then she tried to flip it. She looked at everyone and shouted, why are you all judging me? Like she's so innocent? You think she's perfect? She's not. Ask her about Brian. Brian? That name hadn't crossed my mind in years. Brian was an old boyfriend. From when I was 24. We dated for maybe 8 months. It ended because he moved to New York for work. What the hell did he have to do with anything? I stared at her. What about Brian? Jessica sneered. You were still talking to him last year, weren't you? I blinked. Yeah. As a friend. We bumped into each other at a coffee shop. Had lunch once. I told Mark. She shrugged. Still shady. That's when my best friend Sophie stepped in. You're really reaching now, Jess. You slept with your sister's fiancé and now you're throwing tantrums because people are finally seeing who you are. Jessica turned on her. Shut up, Sophie. You've always been jealous of me too. The room was spiraling. My dad had to sit down. He looked like he might pass out. My mom tried to comfort him, but he pushed her hand away. You knew, he said again, not yelling this time, just tired. How long? She whispered something. He stood up and walked out. I didn't follow. I couldn't. And then, as if this wasn't already the worst night of my life, my phone buzzed. I looked down. A new message. From an unknown number. All it said was, you don't know the half of it. Call me. Attached? A photo. Of Jessica. In another hotel lobby. But this time, not with Mark. With another man. His back was turned, but I recognized the tattoo on his arm instantly. It was Mark's older brother, Dylan. And just like that, my world cracked even deeper. So there I was. Standing in the middle of a broken engagement party, my phone in my hand, staring at a photo of my sister in another hotel lobby, this time, with Mark's older brother, Dylan. I don't know how I stayed upright. I hadn't spoken to Dylan much. He lived out in Denver, rarely visited, and was always too busy with work or traveling. He was the more mysterious one in Mark's family, tall, quiet, intense eyes. He'd flown in for the party that same day and had barely said 2 words to anyone. Now, the photo was staring back at me. Jessica. Smiling. Dylan. Arm around her waist. Timestamp, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. Before this entire explosion. And then it hit me, this wasn't just an affair. Jessica wasn't just sneaking around with Mark. She had something going on with his brother too. I showed David the photo. He stared at it and said, I knew it. I freaking knew something was off. Before I could ask what he meant, he added, Dylan called me last week. Said he wasn't sure if he should come. Said things were getting messy back home. I didn't know what he meant, thought it was about work. I felt the blood leave my face. David took the mic again. He didn't even ask me, he just knew. He raised his voice. Everyone, he said, I need your attention again. People turned, some already packing up their purses and jackets. Some were just waiting for more drama. It was like watching a train wreck they couldn't look away from. David pulled up the photo on the screen. The one that had just been sent to me. And the crowd gasped. Again. Jessica screamed, this is a setup. I looked at her. Are you going to deny that's you? With Dylan? She went quiet. Then said, that was a mistake. Mark finally stood up. You slept with my brother? Jessica didn't answer. He walked over to her. Are you even pregnant? She looked around, suddenly small, like she was being cornered. I might be. Whose is it, Jessica? Silence. He stepped back. You don't even know, do you? Jessica sat down. Her confidence had completely disappeared. She looked like a scared child. And then, as if the universe decided I hadn't suffered enough, Dylan walked in. Apparently he had stepped out to take a call. He looked around at the room. Stared at the big screen behind David showing the photo. He froze. Then he said, so. I guess she didn't tell you. Tell us what, Dylan? He sighed. Loudly. Looked tired. She told me the baby was mine. Dead silence. Mark laughed. A broken, bitter laugh. This is a joke. This is an actual joke. Jessica whispered something, but no one heard it. My mom was now sitting next to her, holding her hand. She looked ashamed. Not just for Jessica, but for herself. Like she was seeing everything unravel and realizing she played a part in letting it happen. Then Dylan dropped the biggest twist of all. She didn't just cheat. She didn't just lie. She asked me for money. Everyone turned. She said she needed to move out, get away from your family, start over. Said she couldn't trust Mark, that she was scared. She made it sound like he was abusive. Now even I was stunned. Mark was a liar and a cheater, yes. But abusive? Never. I lived with him. I'd have seen signs. He wasn't perfect. But he wasn't violent. Jessica didn't say a word. Just sat there. Mark shouted, "You told my brother I hurt you?" Jessica looked up slowly. I didn't know who to trust. He walked out. Just like that. Didn't say another word. Just grabbed his coat and left. I stood in the middle of the room. Everyone watching me. Whispers buzzing like a hive around me. I looked at Jessica. You didn't just hurt me. You hurt everyone. Her eyes welled up. But it didn't move me. Then she said something I didn't expect. Something that shook the ground beneath my feet again. Do you want to know why I did it? I didn't answer. She did anyway. Because you always got everything. You got the attention. The friends. Dad's love. You even got the guy I wanted first. What? She sniffled. I met Mark before you. I was working at that wine bar 3 years ago. He came in. We flirted. He gave me his number. I never called him, but when I found out you were dating him a month later, I felt like you stole him. Everyone went quiet again. I was stunned. You were jealous? I asked. So you destroyed everything? She nodded slowly. I didn't mean to fall for him again. But when I did, I couldn't stop. And when Dylan showed up, I was already in too deep. I shook my head. You don't fall into this. You chose every single step. And then I felt myself unraveling. I couldn't take any more. I dropped the mic. And I walked out. Out into the cold March night. Out of the venue. Out of that hell. I didn't know where I was going. But I knew I couldn't stay there another second. After I walked out of the engagement party, I sat in my car, shaking. I didn't cry. Not right away. It was like my body refused to feel anything just yet. The lights of the city blurred outside the windshield. I stared ahead, numb. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I wasn't sure if I was waiting for someone to come after me or just too afraid to go home. And then my phone rang. It was David. I picked up, barely whispering, "What now?" His voice was tight. "You need to come back inside. It's not over." I froze. Why? I asked, exhausted. There's more. And you deserve to hear it. I didn't want to go back in there. But something inside me pushed me out of the car, back through those big glass doors, back into that room where everything had fallen apart. When I walked in, the room had cleared out by more than half. The music was off. The lights were brighter now. No more mood lighting, no more soft shadows to hide in. Just raw, exposed truth. Mark was back. Dylan was still there. Jessica sat in a chair, face streaked with tears. My parents were standing apart, not speaking. And David stood in the middle, looking like he'd aged 10 years in one night. He saw me. Nodded once. And then he turned to everyone and said, "There's one more thing." The room froze. He pulled out his phone, tapped something, and connected it to the speaker system again. Audio played. A recording. Mark's voice. Jessica's voice. "I don't want to do this anymore," Jessica said in the clip. "What if she finds out?" "She won't," Mark said. "She's too trusting. And if she does, I'll tell her it was a mistake. That I never stopped loving her." My breath caught. Jessica replied, "You're not going to marry her, right?" Pause. Then Mark, "If I did, it would just be for her dad's money. Once I get that investment, I'll figure out a way out." Gasps. Cries. Someone swore out loud. I looked at my dad. His face went pale. He looked at me. Then at Mark. Then at the floor. Jessica was sobbing now. "You said you deleted that," David stared at her coldly. "I had it backed up. I wasn't sure who to protect at first. But now I am." Mark just stood there. Dead silent. No more charm. No more fake smiles. Nothing left. My dad stepped forward. "You were using my daughter? And me?" Mark didn't speak. So my dad punched him. Not a slap. A real punch. Mark fell back into a chair. People screamed. Dylan stepped in to hold my dad back. It was chaos. But inside me? A strange peace settled. The truth was finally out. Mark sat there, clutching his jaw, eyes watery but still not saying anything. Jessica was sobbing into her hands. Dylan looked ashamed to even be related to either of them. My mom tried to speak, but my dad walked out again. And I just stood there. People started leaving for good. Quietly. Whispering. Shaking heads. Only a handful stayed. My best friend Sophie walked over and held my hand. "You don't have to talk. I'm just here." I finally cried. Big, ugly tears. Not for Mark. Not even for Jessica. But for what I believed we all were. For every memory that now felt fake. For every moment I'd loved someone who didn't actually exist. Eventually, Jessica tried to speak to me. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I cut her off. "But you did." Over and over. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "You'll never be my sister again." Her lip trembled. I walked away. Past Mark. Past Dylan. Past my mom, who couldn't even look at me. And I left. The story spread like wildfire through our extended family and social circle. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. The recordings spoke for themselves. Jessica moved out of town. Mark tried to message me once, some long paragraph I didn't even read. I blocked him. My dad apologized for trusting him. I told him it wasn't his fault. My mom, we haven't spoken much. She said she was just trying to keep the peace. But at what cost? Dylan wrote me a letter. Apologized for everything. He said he was stupid, used, and that he'd never meant to get involved. He also said the baby wasn't his. Jessica admitted she lied. Classic. David and I got coffee a few days after. I thanked him. He told me he'd always had doubts but wasn't sure how to bring it up. I didn't want to be wrong, he said. But I also didn't want you marrying a con artist. Fair. I'm not sure what's next for me. The wedding is off. The ring is gone. The dress is in a box at the back of my closet. But I'm still here. I survived. Some days I feel strong. Other days I still feel like a shell. But I'm healing. Slowly. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And don't ever, ever, ignore your gut. Because it might just save your life. Status, not fine. But finally free.